Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are live once again for Empire State of Baseball. This is episode number 119 on April 7th of the year 2025, airing on Instagram, X, YouTube, and powered by StreamYard. Well, it's officially our first show of the month of April. We're now, about a week and a half into the 2025 regular season. Baseball is in full swing now. This time of year is great. You pretty much have a game on almost every night for your own team, every night at this juncture across baseball. So we're officially at the start of baseball season. I'm pumped. I'm loving it. I'm enjoying things so far. Joe, how you feeling on this fine Monday evening?
I am feeling absolutely exhausted. Having a little child is not the easiest thing in the world. And we had one of those nights where sleep was a rare occurrence. So your boy here is kind of fried, and just thankful that right now the baby is sleeping and not crying. So,
yeah, you're out of that pure newborn age where they really just sleep the whole time, and it's you kind of get lulled to sleep a little bit with that.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Well, Empire State of Baseball back again for another Monday. We got a fun show lined up for you guys today. Something I would more call a traditional episode of Empire State of Baseball. And joining us thus far in our comments, let's shout out a few people here in the room. We got Jacob Petruzzi, who almost always is the first one in our comments, and coming in early with the smack that like and sub button for the fellas on your way in. Shout out to you, Jacob. Really do appreciate the support. Hitman, hey, Petruzzi, did you comment yesterday just so you can be first? Of course, he's committed to it. Shout out to Swift. Hit the likey, smash the subby. I'm sure I've heard that before somewhere. And we have Sierra from ESB NYY's The Bronx Take says, my favorite segment is back today. I can't wait to get into that favorite segment of Sierra's later on, first time in 2025. And we'll run down that lineup. Well, Corey will run down that lineup shortly. Before we get there, Tom, let's talk about Roback.
Let's talk about Roback. And last week, I know I hit us with a lot of the baseball stuff, and the baseball stuff is still out there, but listen, it's the most special week of the golf season. It is Masters week. You got Joe rocking some azalea collection. I got some of the azaleas on as well. If you don't like golf, shut up. I don't care. We'll talk about it for a second here. The Roback Azalea collection Masters week is here. It's live. There's stuff that is already sold out. So if you're interested in any of these amazing prints, you got the hoodie on. Joe's got a Q-zip. There's polos. A lot of cool women's stuff as well. Some stuff for little ones. There's got some little polos as well. If you're looking for something for the whole family, head over to roback.com. Use promo code TWASPL15. Save yourself 15% on your first order. Are you going to have it in time for the Masters? Probably not unless you overnight it. But listen, you're going to get the feelings if you're watching it this weekend, and it'd be a great time to make a purchase. So head over to roback.com. Promo code TWASPL15.
No, 100%. Got to give the recommendation. One of my other buddies bought something on Roback last week. I believe he used the code, and he says it's the most comfortable hoodie he owns right now. So, definitely encourage you all to go ahead and do so, and go out there and use that Roback code.
Oh, did Soto get a hold of one?
Oh, let's see.
Double off the wall.
Oh, all right. So that's an RBI double for Soto. Mets are up 1-0.
Got in there. RBI double for Soto.
Was that enough to get him on the bull or bear list tonight? It was not.
Because exactly. Love to see it. But anyway, back to the regularly scheduled program here. We're going to start off today with the Empire Express, giving you the latest and greatest in New York Mets and New York Yankees baseball news. As you saw right now, giving you Mets news right off the rip as they're playing right now as we speak, 1-0 in the third. Then we're going to talk about our ESB Fantasy Baseball season that we have undergoing right now. If you remember, about a month or so back, we actually did a draft as well, one of our live shows back at the beginning of March. So we'll give an update where things stand right now, how things are looking, talk about some surprise players on our rosters, and then one of our favorite segments that we do every other week, the New York Strike Exchange. That's where we reveal our top 5 Bulls and top 5 Bears of the last 2 weeks across New York baseball. So let's see. Did your favorite player make the cut? Do you agree or disagree? Tune in. Find out more a little later tonight. But we got a lot of show. Again, starting with the Empire Express. We'll start with the Mets. How about those New York Metropolitans? Had opening day at Citi Field this past weekend, and it was pretty much exactly as you would like to draw it up there. The Mets getting the 3-game sweep versus the Blue Jays. Really, the pitching across the board, starting pitching, bullpen, absolutely phenomenal. Not only that series, but this short season thus far. I was at the game on Friday afternoon for the Mets, and it was a nice 5-0 shutout win. Starting pitching really came up. Tyler McGill, got to give McGill credit. He's had 2 good starts. Granted, it's early in the season. He didn't get into the 6th inning, but did what he had to do, got the job done. Didn't give up any runs, and the bullpen has been just as good, actually even a little better. Best ERA across the league combined. Individually, both the rotation and the bullpen are the best in their individual categories. Joe, when you were watching the games this weekend in this short season thus far, what's your thoughts on this New York Mets team?
Yeah, I mean, it's worked out so far early in the season. We all expected the strength of this team to be the offense. So far, the offense has kind of been hot and cold. Lindor hasn't really hit well. Soto's been okay, but he still has obviously another higher gear. He just hit a double tonight. He had a double yesterday. So it looks like his bat's kind of coming around. Pete Alonso's really been the keynote guy in the lineup right now, where I think he's up to 11 or 12 RBIs on the year, and had tremendously important home runs. The rest of the lineup has kind of been middling. Vientos hasn't hit. Beatty hasn't hit after his hot start. So in order to offshoot the lack of offense initially in this season, you need to pitch well. And that's what the Mets have done to a point where the pitching has carried them, and it has kept them in these games. Alonso has the opportunity to tie the game in the 8th inning because it's 3-1. It's not 6-1. So that makes a huge difference. And when you have the caliber of bats now that the Mets do in this lineup, eventually those guys are going to come through, and all the pitching has to do is give them a chance. So it's been fantastic. They've also missed Frankie Montas and Sean Manaea. Right now, they're not missing those guys. Those guys can take their time, heal up, and come back, and then we will settle on who's in and who's out of the rotation afterwards. But so far in this season, the pitching has been the stars, and it's been some timely hitting, not some prolific offense like we expect it to be later on in the season.
So let's get into it, because I saw this come across, and of course the New York Mets came into today's game with the MLB best 1.91 ERA, which includes a bullpen ERA, which also tops all of baseball with a 1.29 bullpen. Kind of fun to think about, considering last week we did this head-to-head, and we had a push between the Yankees and Mets bullpen, and no shot at the Yankees bullpen, but the Mets have just been on fire right now with their pitching on both sides of the ball. Michael G. Barron tweets, Mets have had an MLB best 1.91 ERA. That is the 4th best mark in franchise history through the team's first 9 games of the season, listing 1968, 1971, 1985, and now 2025 with that 1.91 ERA. So the question that I propose in our topic here is the Mets pitching lab the real deal? And before I even get to Joe and Corey, I want to get Tom involved in the conversation here. Tom, what are your thoughts on this whole Mets pitching lab?
First time I'm hearing of some sort of pitching lab. I think most people just call it a pitching coach. The Mets have been good through 9 games. Good. Yeah, they've been really good. It's been cold. They played some bad teams. They played some pretty good teams. They played some okay teams as well. I can't ask for anything more, but I don't know why we're ready to fly the banner. Cool.
No, listen, I mean, this start is not sustainable at this level. We don't expect the team to pitch to a sub 2 ERA all year. I mean, that's an unrealistic thing. But the point is, they're doing it in a time when they're not hitting, so it makes up for the fact that they're not hitting. So when presumably the pitching kind of regresses a little bit, just law of averages, the offense is going to pick up the slack. Now, as far as the Mets pitching lab is concerned, the Mets and Cohen have made investments in research and development, whether that's a pitching lab, a hitting lab, all the technology involved with that. It's clearly working. And not to say that all these guys are going to have this sustained success. Max Kranick, Oscar Brazaban, those are the two guys who stand out in the bullpen right now. They haven't given up a run, either of them. Where they were last year, now coming into this year, they look like world beaters. Griffin Cannon is the big one to keep the eye out on. It looks like McGill and Peterson have both turned a corner from where they were a few years ago. So is there credit to be had in the pitching lab? And if you go back to last year with Luis Severino and Sean Manaea, that certainly helped them out. Severino talks about how the Mets nutrition programs and pitching labs helped him out, helped him stay healthy, changed his routine and everything. So there is credit to be had there. Again, we'll save it for the whole season. If Griffin Cannon goes from a 6.5 ERA with the Angels to a 3.5 ERA with the Mets, that has to be a credit on the Mets pitching development. There's no other way to put that, and the player, of course, but that's part of what we now expect from the Mets. So I think there is some credit to be had there, and we'll have to see at the end of the year where all these guys end up.
Yeah, and the thing too with the Mets approach with pitching, you go back to last season. Before we got to spring training, the roster itself, the pitching was definitely on paper the weakest link. Then all of a sudden, spring training came, and the pitchers were looking pretty good. And then you came out of spring, all right, maybe we'll catch a little lightning in a bottle with one or two players. But pretty much all of the gambles the Mets made last year, you look at Manaea, you look at Severino, both of those, considering what you were hoping for, were home runs. So that was great. The bullpen itself was good too. Even with Diaz coming back off the injury, it was a bit shaky at first. It took him a while to really get into it, but then he finished off pretty well. So last year really showed, all right, maybe they do have something here. Maybe this investment in data and analytics from a pitching standpoint, and, the quote-unquote pitching lab, maybe it's starting to pay off. This year, you're seeing the same type of continued success because on paper, coming into spring training, again, what was the weakest link on paper? It was the pitching. The starting pitching. Yeah, you have Senga coming back. You have Manaea coming back. But you really lack that depth at the bottom. Clay Holmes making the conversion back to a starter. Frankie Montas, Peterson, McGill, Canning, all these guys. All right, those are bottom of the rotation arms at best. And what happens? They come out and they're, again, short season, but in 2 weeks, they're leading the MLB in ERA. Same thing with the bullpen. It's like, all right, Diaz is looking good. You took gambles on guys like Kranick, Brazuban, and worked with them throughout the spring. And those guys have been phenomenal. I mean, Max Kranick has retired. Again, short season. He's faced 22 batters thus far, retired 21 of the 22. So really kudos to Max Kranick. And Brazuban, again, his numbers pretty much as good. He doesn't have as many batters as Kranick does. But Brazuban's been in a couple of big moments. I mean, you go back to the game. What was it? The finale against the Marlins last.
It was a shit show of a game.
Absolute wild game that they somehow hold on. So Brazuban, kudos to you. He had another good performance this weekend too. So right now they're hitting on all these guys. Is it going to be sustained the whole season? No. All right. The numbers right now are so high up that they're going to come down. Some of these guys are going to falter. But
you guys are going to have to play a real team at some point. So,
real team?
We played Houston.
You guys have played worse teams than us.
We played Houston and Toronto.
Yeah.
Houston, listen, I proclaimed before the season Houston's not going to be good this year. And Toronto has been an absolute joke for the past.
Wait a second. Who's a better team, Houston or the Brewers?
I mean, the Brewers are more likely to make the playoffs this year than Houston.
I disagree.
I don't know. I don't know how the.
It's more impressive putting up 7,000 runs.
I'm sorry, Altuve and Alvarez are a lot better than Yelich and whoever else the second best player on the Brewers is. Jackson Chourio is a good player, but Jesus.
Let's keep the focus on the Mets. And we're talking about the pitching lab. We're talking about the team ERA. We'll get on Yankees in a little bit. Let's get off of that. But actually,
I wasn't even talking about the Yankees. They brought it up. So you talk to them about that.
Let's
shut up before Rich. Before I mute you, just stop it.
How are you going to mute me? How's that even possible?
I'll find a way.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let's see how this works. Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh.
I mute you. I hit that, and that's called power. Okay, let's try that again.
Little man,
Thomas.
Little man,
All right,
5'6".
Now, for the New York Mets upcoming schedule for the Mets here, we have the Mets are going to continue to take on the Marlins. Right now, they're obviously hosting the first game of a 3-game set. They have an off day Thursday, and then they play the Athletics Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Really tough competition here, Thomas. But when it comes down to it, guys,
the A's are probably the best team they're going to play all year so far.
Listen, you play you play who's in front of you. Joe, Corey, when you look at these 5 games, well, I guess if you want to include tonight's game as well, the 6 games ahead, what's the expectations here? What do you expect the Mets to do, starting with Corey, then Joe?
I mean, what I'd really like, I'd really like to see 5 of 6, but at this point in the season, you just took 5 of 6. You do it again, that's phenomenal. But really just keep winning series. Do what you got to do, win the series. I will be very pleased with 4 and 6, but I would really like to see 5 of 6. Go ahead. These are 2 bottom feeders. You start to beat up on them early, pad that lead, and then, start to really get a good jump early.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Corey. I'd like 2 out of 3 in both series, obviously. I'm not going to go crazy if they don't sweep the Marlins or the A's. The Marlins in particular don't have Alcantara. He just went on the paternity list, so the Mets are going to miss him. So that gives the Mets advantage in all 3 matchups as far as the pitching is concerned. For the Marlins, the A's, I mean, you're going out west. You're going out west for the first time, so that's always tricky. It's a change. It's a change of time zone for the first time all year. So, like I said, 2 out of 3 is fine with me. The good news is the Braves have spotted the Mets 5 games to start the year, and it's the Mets' job to not only maintain that lead over the Braves, but continue to widen it if possible and keep pace with the Phillies. That's the Mets' goal. Just stick close within shadow distance of the Phillies and maintain your distance from the Braves that they spotted you.
Let's talk about that. I know it's Empire State of Baseball, but if I want to pull up that and really dig it to somebody who often tunes into Empire State of Baseball, folks, Jojo, if you're listening, Jojo, here, can you hear me? Can you come up closer to the camera? Come up closer to the camera. What the fuck's going on with your team? 1-8 to start off the season. What is going on in Atlanta, Corey and Joe, that I'm missing here?
Well, they had about the worst week possible the other week. They lost Ronaldo Lopez to the IL. The left fielder that they signed in the offseason to a 3-year deal got suspended for 80 games for taking steroids. And then who else?
Wait, hold on a second. But you're saying worst week possible as if they're losing like these massive assets here. You're talking about the number 4 starter and an outfielder who might not have been a guaranteed starter by postseason time.
Well, think about
Definitely
it.
Will be a starter.
Their best 2 players still aren't on the field.
Yeah.
Well, we knew that coming in.
Strider and Acuna still aren't on the field, and they're not hitting. So something's up with the Braves, and it might be a year where the Braves don't fire, and maybe next year, maybe it's like the Mets where they don't fire in the first half. They get all these guys back, and they turn around and start being world beaters again. But it's tough right now in Atlanta.
Shout out to JoJo. I knew I woke up a sleeping giant over on X. The nice thing is that there's 150 plus games left. We also played the Padres and Dodgers back to back. Good to see you, Joe. Pulse check. Go ahead, Corey.
That is true. I do want to say though one point, and again, it's early. It's not good. It's not fun right now if you're a Braves fan. But if you want to talk about, I'm going to give 2 examples of recent success. One for the Braves, one for the Mets. I mean, obviously the Mets last year started 0-5. They made the NLCS. All right. And from a Braves standpoint, it's not looking good right now. Very rough start. But you do have your 2 best players hopefully coming back. Hopefully they perform at the level you hope they would perform. TBD on that. But go back to 2021, the year that the Braves won the World Series. They were under 500, I believe, most of the first half. It wasn't until like July that they started to turn around. I think they jumped the Mets. Don't quote me on dates. I don't have the schedule up. I think it was like the middle of July, right around the All-Star break, that the Braves caught up with the Mets, jumped them, and then never looked back. So season's still early. They will turn it around. They're not going to be this dreadful of a team. So that's why, to Joe's point, From a Mets standpoint, you have an easier schedule. Knock on wood. Try to add some ground on them. Just beat up on the bad teams while the good teams are still playing poorly.
Tom,
Yep.
let's talk New York Yankee baseball. Before we do that, shout out to Dr. Kulo, Mike Pars, and Chris Nieves over at the Bronx Take who tuned in for today's show. Really do appreciate it, people. Let's get that link out. Let's smash that like button. Let's share the space and get space. Share the stream and keep this thing going. All righty, Tom, talking Yankee ball. The Yankees started off the week with a tough matchup in Arizona. They clearly seemed overmatched against. Forget about just good pitching, just pitching in general. When it came down to Burns and Gallen just was a masterclass in Wednesday's game. Took the last game of that set, and then they took the 2 out of 3 against Pittsburgh. You would have loved to have had that third game in there. But again, this early in, you're not guaranteed. It's so hard to sweep teams when everybody's still in it, everybody's still relatively healthy. And then today, after a couple of with a shuffling of the schedule, with the Tigers having inclement weather throughout the week, the Yankees dropped today's first game of the 3-game set against Detroit. So, Thomas, your thoughts on this Yankees team as of late?
Yankees still, I mean, against the D-backs, obviously, we did struggle a lot of it with the offense in that series, and came really alive against Pittsburgh. And early in the season, I think the Yankees are a team. This is gonna, I don't know if it sounds like an excuse. I don't care. They feel like a team. They're here to slug, and slugging teams want it to be warm. It's harder to slug when it's cold. They're in Detroit now, which they literally had to move games up, not even for inclement weather. It's because it's cold. It's because it's going to be so cold at night. They're moving games up just so they're not playing in absolutely frigid temperatures. So yeah, when you're playing games and it's in the low 50s, it's in the 40s, it's rainy, it's gross out. Yeah, the offense isn't going to do what you want it to do. You want to see some better effort from the pitching overall. Max Fried kind of had a bit of a bounce back, but some of the other starters, you're not getting exactly what you want so far. I know we're talking a little bit about that. The pitching staff, what are we going to do when Clark Schmidt comes back? I know that's coming up on our topics here, but I'm not worried. Again, it's early in the season. There's no point of getting super excited. There's not really a point of getting super down yet. I think that if you've had the one thing that has been, I think, very encouraging is the offense is a lot more well-rounded, which we said was a possibility going into the season with the Soto leaving situation. And now, granted, some of the contributors like a Trent Grisham is not someone you thought like, oh, hey, Trent Grisham's going to really contribute, but Belly's been contributing. I know he missed a couple of days. Goldschmidt, Jazz contributing, Volpe. The lineup feels a lot more circular. It doesn't feel like, okay, Judge's at-bat is over. We are not going to score for 2 innings until Judge comes up again. It feels like they are a threat to score no matter who is up. And then even if that's not necessarily a better team, it's a more exciting team. It's a more fun team to watch. And defensively, even though they had that one game early in the season when they made a lot of errors, they've been a lot better defensive team. And again, just a better watch. Some of the Yankee games the past couple of years have been dreadful with a terrible defense they've played.
Right. It seems like outside of those 2 Diamondback games between when Burns and Gallen are on the mound, it seems like the Yanks are not out of any game. Defensively, they look better, like you mentioned. I think all around they're a better team. When it comes to losing games this early into the season, I'm not going to worry. When they lose 1 game, 2 games in a row, 3 games in a row. You get to 4 or 5. It's like, okay, what's going on here that needs to change? Love the youth movement with this team. Loving what I'm seeing from Ben Rice thus far this season, outside of him getting caught napping at third base today. And I really do like this fight. Again, outside of today's game, the 3 other losses the Yankees had, they did not go down and roll over and die. Like, especially look at Sunday's game. Sunday's game was in defeat. But I felt like last year's team would have probably just dropped that game. Like, that game would have ended in the 9th inning. They came back, 3 runs down to the 9th inning, made their comeback, still lost in extras. You have 2 innings in a row. You have the runner at second base. You got to cash in. Yeah. One thing I definitely want to talk about, and I may save a little bit more time later on when we get into the Bulls and Bears, because here's one particular guy who's been incredible. But one thing I'm seeing from this team that kind of reminds me, they kind of like are a callback to that 2019 Yankees when players went down with injury and they were playing that next man up. It is, the guys like Trent Grisham and Ben Rice are coming through, and this is a good time to see some of those young guys get their opportunities. So a lot of good positive momentum going the Yankees' way, despite the last 2 games not going their way. Still early on, but very excited. Now, Joe, Corey, from your other side, any notes that you want to cover when it comes to the Yankees?
Yeah, I mean, just real quick, too. I just find it funny. The Yankees right now lead the league in this short season in OPS, just like the Mets lead in ERA. It's exactly how we drew it up, guys, right? Yankees best offense, Mets best pitching. Ironically, coming into this season, when we were talking about, what could be the Yankees' biggest weakness, it was the offense. It wasn't the pitching. It was like, what will they have after Judge? We know they brought in Bellinger. We know they brought in Goldschmidt. It's better defense, but will they get production in the bottom half of the lineup? And in this short season, they have. You look at Anthony Volpe. He's showing pop this year. You look at Jazz Chisholm. Very nice start to the season for him. Austin Wells gave a spark right off the rip. Leadoff home run his first time hitting leadoff. So it's been a nice offensive season thus far for the Yankees. And they're just beating up on bad pitching. I mean, you cannot throw, you can't get away with the meatball right now in that Yankees lineup. You make a mistake and they're jumping right on it. The biggest thing too is you want to start to see it against high-end elite pitchers. I know right now, get to like the Garrett Crochets. We didn't play schoolball yet, but, do it against a schoolball. You put up like a 6, 7, 8 runs on one of those elite pitchers. That's when you'll know, like, wow, this is a real deal. But honestly, just keep riding it out, man. You got to ride out that offensive wave while you have it. You got the best hitter in all of baseball, and that Aaron Judge. And as long as you give him protection, you're going to win a lot of games.
Yeah, I mean the Yankee bats have been hot. It's not just the torpedo bats. It's pretty much all of them in the lineup. When we were going through Bulls and Bears lists, and you look at the Yankee offensive statistics, there's not many guys that would even be considered to be on a Bears list this time around. So that's been a key to them. I'd be a little concerned with the pitching. Carrasco, Stroman are really shaky on the back end. And I'm sorry, guys, I don't want to hear any more praise for Carlos Rodon. I can't with this. I'm telling you guys, I don't mean to pick on him, but this is a guy who needs to step up. This is a guy who needs to be a better pitcher than he has been for the Yankees, and he needs to start pitching better because this guy's making all the money in the world, and he gives up a big home run every single game. We see it. We saw this in the playoffs. He comes out. He looks like a Cy Young candidate the first 2 innings, and he gets popped for a 3-run homer in the 3rd or the 4th inning. And it's every single time. I do not want on Spaces, on this show, on everybody that Cookie's got 7.5 ERA. Let's calm down there, Sierra.
Well, hold on. That 7.5 was built on a bad relief appearance. His start was very good against.
All right, that's fair. All right, that's fair. But I don't want to hear the Rodon praise anymore. He's a mediocre pitcher. He's overpaid, and he drives. If I were a Yankee fan, he would drive me up a wall. Because he should be so much better than he is, and he isn't.
It's a shame. It's a shame. And Tom, I know a couple of years ago, we were at a company holiday party, and it was the day that Rodon signed. And I ran over to you, and I was like, Yankees got their second guy of the offseason. Because
I said, Rich, get away from me.
You wanted Judge back. And nothing's changed since, folks. Trust me. They got Judge that offseason. I was so excited when they got Rodon because when you look at those 2 years between his final season with the White Sox and that only season with the Giants, he makes the argument as a top 3 pitcher in baseball. I mean, his numbers were outstanding in those 2 years, and you would have hoped to have had that as your compliment to Garrett Cole, and that's your 1-2 punch for years to come. And it just hasn't been that way between injury with Garrett. Obviously, Garrett was amazing the next season, but Carlos Rodon has not lived up to it. And it's frustrating because it's there. He has the potential to be the best starter in the rotation, and it's just not being put together. And as Joe mentioned, and Joe's wrong about a lot of things, but he's certainly right. In some of the biggest games, like once he gets unraveled, that's it. The game's done. And it always happens, it seems like, in the biggest of starts. Tom, go ahead.
I think it's a big year for Rodon. He, like you said, he has all the talent in the world. He has proven that he can be an elite pitcher. But there's been times where he hasn't stepped up. Overall last year, he had a very good year. He had a stretch where he was very bad, which hurts his overall numbers. But for a majority of last year, he was really as advertised. He has to you're right. He has to be better. He can't, he needs to, him and Fried need to be 1 and 1A this year. Rodon can't, end the season with a 4-something ERA and, and not giving you enough length and all that kind of stuff. He strikes guys out, which is nice. But you need better from him. You can't, a game like this in Detroit, I know is a bit of a plucky team, made the playoffs last year, but you know what? You got to kind of shut the door. You got to shut the door on teams like this and not let them kind of stay around. And he gave up what? He gave a 3-run homer today, and then a home run. He gave up 5-run runs today, I think.
Yeah.
You got to be better. You got to be better than that. And I'm willing to give him leash until like halfway through the season. Let's get him worked up a little bit more now. But if it's still looking bad, then I think it's also going to get ugly. I think he's not a guy. He does have some endearing qualities that fans like, but I think we've seen, and the Yankee fans have seen enough from him. They've seen enough disappointment from him. And Yankee fans typically find a guy that they pick on, and then they will have it. And I think Rodon is probably the leading candidate if things go, not great this year, especially not great for him. I think he's the guy that could really hear it, and I'd be curious to see how he handles that.
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy who has to step up the most.
Yeah, Glaber's gone, so they need to lose someone.
Cole and Heel, he's got to step up the most. He's paid like a top-tier pitcher in baseball. Mm-hmm. So the fans are not going to accept mid-June you giving up 3-run homers to Alex Bregman and the Red Sox when the Red Sox come into town in the third inning.
Forget about Alex Bregman. The guy's making way too much money to give up 3-run home runs to Andy Ibanez, home runs to Vinny Capra. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't be giving up home runs to guys you're supposed to be beating. Like, you're Carlos fucking Rodon. You're a guy who at one point was considered one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. Wake your fucking ass up.
Especially after the Cole injury, too, because now he's number 2. On paper, you were coming into the season with him as number 3. And if he wasn't giving you high, but if he was giving you good but not elite pitching, and when I mean good, I mean like a 3.7 ERA. That's good enough to win baseball games, but that's not $25-30 million top-tier pitching. As your third starter, that's great. You sign up for that every single time out. But now he's your number 2. And, if Fried were to miss 3 weeks, he's your number 1. So you really want to see that top-end performance with a guy making that much money.
It's the way he gives them up, right? If he's going 6 2/3 and giving up 4 runs, and he gives up 1 run here, 1 run in there, 1 run, in an inning, you can live with that. The fact of the matter is, and this goes back to the playoffs too, he gives up backbreakers. When you give up a 3-run homer,
runs are runs. It doesn't. I mean, at the end of the day, 4 runs over 5 2/3 is 4 runs over 5 2/3. It's no worse to give out 1 run for 4 straight innings than give up a grand slam. It's the sudden jolt. It's a different. You are really projecting here. It's runs or runs. I don't care.
You're down 1-0, and then you're or versus down 3-0 in an instant. It's a different feeling.
Now, the troops, you would say, could be on the way though, because this past weekend, Clark Schmidt, he made his rehab assignment with my good friends over at the Somerset Patriots, 3 1/3. 0 runs, 7 Ks, so a good start on 52 pitches there for Clark Schmidt. And now I feel like this is almost becoming an easier question to answer now. But Thomas, Clark Schmidt makes his return. Who's coming out of this rotation?
I mean, as long as Carrasco is still giving you value, you send Warren down. The pitching is a commodity, and if you want to keep Warren up, you lose Carrasco. And I talked before the season, it's not like Carlos Carrasco is like, oh my God, I can't believe we've lost Carlos Carrasco, but he's innings. He's someone who you can kind of depend on to get some outs for you. Warren hasn't looked great. He didn't look great against Pittsburgh over the weekend. So I think it's very easy. You send him down. And the other thing is these things tend to work themselves out. Last year, I know there's a lot of debate about injuries and what's going to happen when so-and-so gets back. It all works itself out. So I'm not worried about it. He's not going to be back. I don't know if I think he still has one more probably rehab, or is he going to come back?
One more rehab, and he's probably due back after that. So
yeah, so we're talking
assuming 10 days.
We're talking 10 days, and in 10 days, I mean, listen, in 10 days, Carlos Carrasco could give up 10 runs, and they go, all right, Carlos, thank you for your service, and you could head out. But I think most likely you send Warren down. You keep. It's a commodity. You got to keep it.
Yeah. On paper, it's the right move, the Warren send down. And again, keep in mind, Carrasco's an older pitcher. It's still cold out. You can, depending on where you're pitching, you can get those high 30-degree nights still. Maybe he wakes up with a sore back. And like Tom's point, it solves itself. If Carrasco's feeling any slightest bit sore, throw him on the 15th. And then you all of a sudden now you activate Schmidt, and it worked itself out naturally. So Warren's the move unless that happens.
Yeah, it's Warren. He has the option. He hasn't exactly pitched his way into the roster spot as it is. So I wouldn't hesitate to send Warren down and continue to work down in the minor leagues. And like you said, worst comes to worst, Carrasco has 2 more bad starts. You DFA him and you bring Warren back up.
Right. Exactly. I think there's an importance on keeping assets, and it sucks.
Yeah.
It's like baseball's a tough game. They talked about it on the broadcast today because they had to send down Brett Hedrick just because he was taxed, and it's a numbers game. So they brought back Adam Ottavino. Ottavino, I feel like is going to get cut, DFA'd, brought back. The poor guy's just going to be.
They're going to DFA him probably today because I think Ian Hamilton's back tomorrow.
Yes, Ian Hamilton's supposed to come back off the IL tomorrow, so the Yankees get another recruit to that bullpen. So see ya, Otto. All right, we're going to move on from the Empire Express and into, for the first time, our report on our ESB Fantasy League. Before we do that, Tom, I'm going to go right back to you again. Let's talk about Instagram.
Let's talk a little bit about Instagram. Joe just had a baby. Instagram is Corey's baby, and he nurtures it, and he loves it just as much as Joe loves little Teddy ball game. Head over to Instagram and join our how many followers? I think it's like 7,000. Is that right?
We're over 7,000.
Over 7,000. My goodness, so many followers. Head over there for archived segments. Again, Corey always in the kitchen cooking up the reels. A lot of fun stuff going on. We venture a little bit outside of baseball, depending on what's going on in the time of year. So you'll never know what you're going to see from us. But a lot of baseball content. If you want to follow the team individually, you can follow Corey at Corey Favs. You can follow whatever. Fire Joe.
Fire Joe. You for this bad promo. Go ahead.
Yeah, JR Pugs. You can follow Rich at Rich Sucks Rivera, and follow me at T Wospil.
I mean, good luck finding that. Rich Sucks Rivera does not.
Listen to that. I'm sure it does, and I'm sure it's. You better watch where you're watching Rich Sucks Rivera, because you never know. Never know.
Well, Dr. Cool says Rich's Puerto Rican come out when he says my name. Love the shout out. Yes, I do. Dr. Culo. That's it. Jonathan, once the weather warms up, I'll judge this team too early to worry. Okay, got it. Jojo, why is Tom wearing sunglasses inside his place and at night? You want to answer our fan here?
No, I really don't. Mind your business.
Jack, what's up, boys? And CK, CK just celebrated a birthday, so happy belated birthday to Mr. CK, Chris Caleb. All righty, we're going to move on to our standings, our first updated standings of this ESB Fantasy League that's being hosted by the good folks over at ESPN. Now, this was the standings going into today, so this is prior to today's game. At the top of the list, not a real surprise to Corey, Joe, and I. Core is at the top. Core of Core Curriculum. He is the genius behind the trivia, which will be making its return sometime over the next couple of weeks. Core with a 102 point, not lead, but 102 points total. Chooch is coming in second place. Chooch, who's now also known as Took from Book with Tooks, Book It. He's at 88.5, and I've nestled in there in third place at 78. That's MGM. You know, I have to represent the 4 here on the panel well. But I also see Corey right there. I got Joe. Free Ipe.
Well, actually, we're 3 in a row. It's Rich, Corey, Joe, and me right in the middle.
Yep.
In the middle of the table.
Yep.
Free Ipe was talking all that shit, and I see him in there. Then there at 6th place.
I mean, listen, we had to cut Jerks and Profar. He was not only
that was the catalyst. That was the reason.
It's an issue. It was an issue in the locker room. We had to get rid of him. And listen, some guys had to look themselves in the mirror and say, "Hey, let's step it up here. Let's do it."
We got Keith in 7th place, Sierra in 8. Josh is in 9, only Favs. And in 10th place, we have Christian Nieves, the Lehigh Valley Legends. Now, folks, we're going to try to keep the standings up to date here on the show for at least on a bi-weekly basis, maybe a monthly basis. We'll see how it goes. But so far, Corey, you're the commissioner of the league. I'd say so far so good when it comes to Roto. But you know, what's some of the, for those that are new to Roto, me here, should I be expecting a big drop off now from the top? I mean, this was a bloodbath to start because people were just flipping in and out of those first 3 spots, and now it looks like Core's kind of had this secure for a little bit. Is it possible to knock Core off the top at this point in the season?
Yeah, at this point, it's still pretty early, so you should be able to get a jump. You have a couple of good days in a row. The thing with Roto, too, the earlier in the season, there's more action in terms of movement up, movement down. And that's just because of the amount of games that have been played. If you don't have a lot of games, all it takes is one really good day to jump several people in a particular stat. As the season gets longer, let's say you get now to the summer, you get to July, the All-Star break. That's where things are really going to become a little more stable, and it becomes more of a grind to try to make a jump up the standings, because now you have a lot of a larger game pool across the board, a lot of games played. And if the difference between you, because again, the way Roto works is categories, but it's not categories head to head, it's categories head to head versus the league. So if you have the most home runs in the league at that moment in time, you're getting 10 points. If you have the least home runs, you're getting 1. Middle of the pack, you're getting 5. So if the first place team, I'm just using an easy example, has 100 home runs, you have 80 home runs in second, and third place is 79. It's easy for the third place guy to jump you, but it's going to be a dogfight for you to try and make that point up to get first place in home runs. And then it gets into strategy too. It's like, all right, I'm really high up in home runs. I have a little bit of buffer. I don't think I'm going to make that jump to hit top 1 or 2, but I'm really high up on like the 4th and 5th. Stolen bases, I'm in the middle of the pack. And, it's pretty tight there. It's a tight stat. Let me try to start guys who can get steals. Maybe this is where you make some trades. You have some extra pop on your bench, swap them for some speed. So that's where the strategy comes in. It's a little too early in the league to make drastic moves like that, because even though you're last in home runs now, 1 week you could find yourself 7th. Then you could find yourself in 2nd. It's still too early to panic. So when we see the standings 2 months from now, different story. Then it's going to be full speed ahead, trying to make some moves and really focusing on the stats that'll get you up the most.
So we shouldn't be worried at this point. Like, this is not a runaway at this point in time. All right, fantastic. Look at that. All right, now, before we move on to our next bit, I want to also take advantage of the time when we're talking fantasy, is take a look at some of the strategies of the host here on Empire State of Baseball. So I asked a real simple question. Of the players, whether you picked them up off free agency, drafted them late in the draft from about a month ago, who has really surprised you on your team in a very positive way? Joe, why don't you start, and I'll go over to Tom.
Yeah, I mean, my team is built on pitching, right? I want to dominate all the pitching categories. I got Zach Wheeler, I got Jacob deGrom, I got Paul Skeens and Chris Sale all on the same team. So I'm going to be good on pitching categories. But I did also pick up somebody on the waiver wire who's been really good for me, and that's Brady Singer of the Cincinnati Reds. And he's had a good start to his year, 2-0, 15 strikeouts, a 2.25 ERA. So that was a nice little pickup for me. I'm going to ride that hot hand for a few weeks and see how he can help me. But right now he's helping me with my pitching right now. And I'm going to continue. I expect to be at the top of the league in most of those pitching categories by the end of it.
Tom, how about you? Clearly it's not David Bednar.
No, yeah, I'll be honest. I kind of forgot I still had Bednar, and he's been.
He literally just dropped him as he looked down.
He did, yeah. I kind of forgot.
notification.
I'll be honest. I forgot I still had him, and he was sent to the minors like a week ago. So bad luck on me there. He was a team guy though, so he was a real glue guy. Didn't want to. You hated to get rid of him.
Who gives a fuck about David Bednar? Who most surprising?
It might be David Bednar, man. I was kind of shocked.
In a good way, surprising.
He had one bad outing, 27 ERA, and then now he's in Altoona, wherever he is. Just it's devastating for him and the whole Bednar family.
Who's the most surprising player that's actually done good on your team? Okay, let's get back to the question.
I'm a little shaken up out there, Bednar, right now. So.
For me, I gotta say it's Logan O'Hop, and when we were doing the draft, it got to a point. Yeah, O'Hop, whatever you want to call him. But it got to a point in our draft episode where 8 or 9 teams had a catcher, and at this point, I'm like, well, every catcher that's left, I put in the same exact bucket. So I'm just going to wait. I'm going to draft catcher almost with my last pick in the draft. And Logan O'Hop right now is the second-ranked catcher in all of baseball, 345, 5 home runs, 9 RBIs. It's sustainable, probably not. But for right now, I absolutely love the strategy. Punted the position because there was no one left, and I still got myself an O'Hop.
Still hoppy.
Still hopping along.
Okay.
Listen, I hate to say it, but it's a Boston Red Sox that's been really helping me out here. Wilyer Abreu has been off to a fantastic start for Boston thus far. 452 batting average, 3 homer, 12 RBIs. Kind of kicked things off with that multi-homer performance that's launched him ever since. I think it's a sneaky power threat for Boston too. We talked about how good the Red Sox are, and I feel like especially in our preseason shows, we weren't even covering a guy like Wilyer Abreu and what he could do for the middle to bottom part of that lineup. So he's been a great ad, currently rostered by 78.9% of leagues, and he's got a pickup right now of over 30, an uplift of 33%. So Wilyer Abreu has been my guy thus far for the outfield across multiple leagues, not even just this one here. But that's our ESB Fantasy Baseball report. So we'll get more into that as the weeks go on. But shout out to Core, who's currently leading the pack right now among the participants in that league. All righty, Joe, let's talk about YouTube.
All right. You can find us. You can follow our stream on Instagram and X, but YouTube is actually our preferred method. Why? Because you can be part of the show. Nitin says, "What's up, everybody?" So we prefer you view it on YouTube. Guys like JoJo who are hanging out on X, make sure you're subscribed over on YouTube, even if you do view it on X. But you can join us over there. That's where our live stream will be. We have 453 subscribers. We're on the road to 500. We're going to do a giveaway once we get to 500 subscribers. So don't forget to go over, subscribe, like the video. It helps us out big time. And join us over there.
Yep.
It gave me a hard time for my read.
It's been a rough one for the boys today. It's all right. Because we're going to move on to one of my favorite segments here on Empire State of Baseball. It's been quite a while since we did this last. It's our New York Strike Exchange. And if you're new to this, if you don't know what the New York Strike Exchange is, you can go back in time and look on YouTube as Tom had Joe has mentioned before, and check out those former episodes where you can catch some of our rankings. It got heated, Thomas. There was some big fights over spots in the Bulls and Bears list, but essentially we're taking the gimmick of the New York Stock Exchange, flip that for Strike, the New York Strike Exchange. We're going to analyze the top players and the bottom players of New York between the Yankees and the Mets. So as far as I know, it's the only game in town that's doing it, folks. So if you're joining us now, you're joining us for something that's pretty exclusive to Empire State of Baseball. So we're going to kick this off with the bad. And kicking it off with the bad is Joe. So Joe, let's run down for the first time in 2025, our bottom 5 Bears lists for the New York Strike Exchange.
Sure. So on our debut list, number 5, we have Will Warren, who we just spoke about a little bit. Will Warren has a 6 ERA, 1.33 whip. He hasn't been terrible for the Yankees, but there's times where he's seemed a little overmatched. And one of those guys that is kind of on the fringe once Clark Schmidt comes back. He is number 5 on our list. Number 4 is Ryan Yarbrough. He was a late season pickup from the Tampa Bay Rays, I believe. Was it Tampa Bay Rays?
He was the Dodgers last year, I think.
It was Toronto.
Toronto. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not going to hold you to that one. He's been on every freaking team.
Yeah, I know him as a Ray most likely, but he's got he's got 9.82 ERA in limited action, a 1.64 WHIP. He has not looked really effective early in the early going of the season. Number 3 is Marcus Stroman, who's probably had the most conversation about him of anybody on the Yankees this year, simply for the fact that he was supposed to be the 6th man before Heel, Schmidt, and Cole went down. Now he's thrust into the rotation, and they're probably their number 3 starter at the moment. He's given up 7 earned runs on the season to a 7.27 ERA, 1.38 WHIP. And Stroman looks like he's kind of still trying to get fully going and be a mainstay now in the Yankee rotation for the rest of the season. Number 2 is Brett Beatty. Had that great spring training, has started off ice cold in a platoon role at second base, an 0.95 average. McNeil is going to be back very, very shortly, and it looks like Beatty's going to be the casualty of that. We kind of expected Beatty to kind of take off and go to that next level and challenge to keep that second base job, or at least part of it. And he has not done that since. And number 1 is Mark Vientos. While Beatty's been worse than Vientos as far as the offense is concerned, the expectation of Vientos going in was that he was going to be the cornerstone third baseman of the Mets. Granted, it's early, 34 at bats. He has a 118 average. He does have a double tonight, which is good. But, a rough start, has made some mental errors both in the field and on the base pass. He didn't hustle a ball out the other day that Lindor had to have a conversation with them. So he kind of just looks like he has not gotten into the full swing of things. And so Vientos is number 1 on our list this week for our first one this year. And, obviously the Mets are looking for him to step up in a big way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Corey.
And Joe mentioned, Mark Vientos, obviously, he's the guy we really expect to be playing better. I do want to make a call out on Brett Beatty, though, because this really was the turning point year for Brett Beatty. And by turning point, it's either he's going to stick with the team or it's his last hurrah. Because if again, it's early, but fast forward 2, 3, 4 months from now, McNeil's going to be back. Who knows when Brett Beatty's going to get a chance to come back up and play again pretty regularly. If this is really it and he continues to struggle and his numbers at the end of the year are like a 200 average with 4 home runs, the Brett Beatty show with the New York Metropolitans will be over. He won't have another job with this team. At that point, he'll have no trade value either, but he'll be playing baseball somewhere on a minor league contract.
Tom, on the Yankee side, who of these guys stick out to you?
I guess we'll go with Stroman. You want to see better from him. I know he's a guy who's pitching the contact. He's given up against 700 rounds. He also hasn't given you a ton of innings, which he doesn't typically do anyway. He's a guy that, with the injuries like we've been talking about, does need to step it up. And it's also early with the ERA stuff, right? He's given up 7 earned runs. He could go out and pitch 5 innings and give up no earned runs, and his ERA will be more than cut in half. So it's ERA is early in the year. I'm not really looking at it, but you want to see some better results and just keep them in, make sure they're still in those games to give the offense a chance.
The team Ryan Yarbrough departed was Toronto. He had he's been, like I said, he's been with everybody, and based on his first start here at the Yankees, well, not first start, first appearance, it's not already looking too good, and I think he's got to consider his next team of the 17 he's already pitched for. But Ryan Yarbrough makes the list. And listen, at this early in the Bears, it's kind of unfair that a relief pitcher gets in because we're probably talking 2 appearances. But Yarbrough is brought in as that left-handed long reliever who's supposed to help your bullpen out on a day that your starter can't go the distance. And Yarbrough in his couple appearances has not looked good, especially his first against Arizona, where he came into a game that the Yankees were up 6 runs, gave up a grand slam. So Yarbrough might be one of those guys that the Yankees going to have to make a tough decision on sooner than later when some of these other pitchers start returning to the Yankees mix in the relief corps. All right, let's move on from the Bears. But there you have it. Will Warren, Ryan Yarbrough, Marcus Stroman, Brett Beatty, Mark Vientos. Okay, so for the newbies out there, you kind of get the point. That's the bad. Now we move on to the Bulls. The Bulls is good, right? So with the good, Tom, let's talk about the Bulls.
Well, if we were going to compare this to the actual New York Stock Exchange, there would be no good because it's trash. But thank God we have Aaron Judge, which we'll get to in a second. But we'll start on the bottom. We have dumb name Tyler McGill. Again, just be Taylor or Taylor. Tyler's a dumb name, but a good ERA. Tyler. A sub 1 ERA is very nice. Again, only 10 innings so far this year, so it's a small sample as all these stats are gonna be, but can't ask for much more out of young Tyler McGill. Number 4, we have the torpedo man Anthony Volpe. His first, I think, like 3 hits of the season were all homers. There was a little concern that he forgot how to hit singles, and then he remembered to do that too. So that was very nice of young Anthony to do that. Still playing good defense. 1 OPS, so he has absolutely been slugging. Number 3 should be Jazz Chisholm. I don't know why it says Pete Alonso here, but Jazz Chisholm should be number 3 on this list. Pete's been doing pretty well as well. 3 homers, 11 RBIs, walking as well. So we do have Alonso there, I guess. Number 2, we have Trent Grisham, who just absolutely has been in fuego over the past couple of games. He has almost a 500 batting average, 3 homers. He had the 2-homer game the other day. Just absolutely on fire, playing good defense as well as he's known to do. And then number 1, it's the Bulls list. It really is just the Judge list. A 1.3 OPS. He's on pace to hit about 89 home runs and drive in 240. Did I make those numbers up? I did, but you know what? That feels probably pretty accurate at this point. Even stealing a couple bases. So you love to see Judge back on top, where I think he was over half the time last year on the Bulls list.
Yeah,
and that's the rundown. So what do we think, guys?
I know some people are already not happy the fact that Ben Rice didn't make the list here. Dr. Kulo calling it out. Arroz con leche was robbed. See, there you go. But Joe,
he was on my list, Sierra. He was on my list.
Well, who's coming off the list for Ben Rice? I mean, it's not like.
Well, Jazz Chisholm should be absolutely on the list.
But again, who's coming off the list?
We can get Tyler off. I don't really care.
Tyler's
a dumb name. Your name it makes you a real bear.
Tom, if Will Warren had 1 earned run in his first 2 starts and wasn't on the Bulls list, you would be screaming your head off.
Well, no, because you're going to Tyler, so that would.
And don't get me wrong, Jazz
is so much of a cooler name. So now we're even like, what are we doing?
Jazz has started off hot, but it's not like the guys in front of him aren't. Grisham is the 5th outfielder, and he's had an unbelievable start.
Yeah, I didn't
was Jazz on the precipice of making the list?
Jazz was a cusp player. I think him and Max Kranick were the next 2 in line for a shot there.
Yeah, Ben Rice, I think also. I think I had Ben Rice in my just missed spot, but I think he could have been fighting to get on there. I'll give you that, but yeah,
acting like Pete shouldn't be on there. Do you know Pete hit a 3-run homer in the 8th inning to flip a game from an L to a W? He had a go-ahead grand slam in another game, and he had a 2-run homer in against Toronto in a 0-0 game.
Yeah, so the Yankees are scoring a million runs, so it's like we don't need those big home runs usually because we're just scoring a million.
You have the stat lines kind of in front of you. So, like, I'm perfectly content with the 5 that made it. I think there's an argument that you can make that Alonso and Volpe probably flip in this list.
Absolutely should.
You could. The only reason I had Pete high was because
you're an idiot.
The 3 home runs he's hit so far have literally catapulted the Mets to wins.
Yeah, I mean,
he took an L and made it a W with the home run.
That was my reasoning for putting him in that spot as well. Over a Volpe, over a Jazz. It was really the moments when he did it. Like Joe said, he had that 3-run home run the other day. Mets were losing. All of a sudden, now it's a tie game. They were, that would have been it against the Marlins. Opening day, crowds pumped, crowds excited, 2-run shot right off the rip. They never looked back. They shut out that game. So it's the moments for Alonso. You look purely at the numbers. Yeah, Volpe's, one tick above in a few of the categories there. It was the moments for Alonso that made it for me. I want to give a shout out to Max Kranick. I was pretty high on him, higher than the rest. I know it's tough to judge middle relief or long relief. 21 of 22 though, hell of a start. So I do want to give a shout out to Max Kranick. I know that was my player to look out for back in the middle of spring training when we had that segment. So I'm happy to see he's come on and continue that success.
Yeah, Thomas, of the guys that we really didn't touch on, who I think deserves his flowers right now is Trent Grisham. I mean, what an incredible start for Trent Grisham. I made the joke on the ESPN YY page. I can't believe the Yankees just asked the Padres asked the Yankees for 5 guys for Trent Grisham. Clearly, there should have been more asked for the player. And my nod to the Soto deal. But
you just laughing at your own jokes.
Yeah, I am. I'm hilarious. But Trent Grisham, though, fantastic. And there's nothing funny about his game. He's been great for this team.
Yeah, he absolutely he has been making it interesting, especially with Stanton still out. And again, thankfully we have him, could really rotate guys through the DH, get Judge some DH days. Bellinger, if his back's a little tight, still gives him DH days. Get Grisham in the field, kind of getting everyone playing, especially early in the year. You want to get everyone involved. And he has taken his moment. He's running with it.
Absolutely. So shout out to Trent Grisham and the Bulls list. And again, we'll cover that Bulls. McGill, Anthony Volpe, P. Alonso, Trent Grisham, Aaron Judge. I mean, again, we could ad nauseum just talk about Aaron Judge. And Boogie hosted today's Bronx Take, and he made a great point on it. At this point, it's just awesome to watch this guy play baseball. I know he gets a lot of criticism usually this time of year because he often doesn't get off to a great start. That clearly isn't the case in 2025. He gets even more criticism when it comes to October and not being able to perform there. But just watching him play is awesome. And you wish that guy can end his career with a ring with the Yankees. But regardless, man, Tom, this is a guy that is just so much fun to watch.
Yeah, I usually, right, like you said, he gets off to the slow starts. He's doesn't have the power earlier in the year. He's kind of working his way into the season, and this year the exact opposite. Now let's see if he can do what he does for the rest of the time. It's like he's gonna break his own AL record if he can obviously keep this up. It's good to see, especially with everything in the offseason, Soto leaving, and just to kind of come out and just not even to reestablish himself because he's the MVP of the league, but just to really remind everyone, like I am still that guy, and I don't care who's hitting in front of me or behind me. I'm still that guy.
Absolutely. To wrap up the New York Strike Exchange, I love to ask this question. By the time we do our next Bulls list, which will be in 2 weeks' time on April the 21st, of the folks that didn't crack the Bulls list, who is your prediction on who is making that list for our top 5 next time around? We'll go to Corey, then Joe.
I'm going to say Francisco Lindor. He had a really nice opening weekend at Citi Field to keep him off the Bears list, and he followed that up tonight so far with a 3-for-3 game still going. So I'm going to say Lindor.
Joe, your prediction?
It's easy to say, but I'm going to say Soto. A double yesterday, double today.
Tom?
Let's go with Max Fried. I think he's looked pretty good so far, and now I'm just happy because it upset Rich. So Max Fried.
That was my pick. All right, to come off of Max Fried, Paul Goldschmidt. Goldschmidt's gotten off to a great start. I think he's going to just keep that going, just getting on base. Maybe we'll see a little bit more power from Goldschmidt over the next few days. So I'm going Paul Goldschmidt for a top 5 spot in a couple weeks' time, and that's going to be on the 21st. So that will be our next New York Strike Exchange. So for the new folks that are coming in, hopefully you guys enjoy that and stick around and catch up to what we're doing there with the NYSC. We got a special guest appearance. Joe had that look on his face that we were bringing a 5th in.
Had a little axe. Oh my Lord, dear. Oh my lord!
Oh,
Oh boy.
He stay. Oh,
that reminds me of the time that Tom went
Don't get
poopy
it.
in his pants on this show.
Yeah, I mean, listen, let's not get it on that nice road back, Joe. You gotta hand off that little man.
Oh, little bit. Shout out to Teddy, and shout out to a lot of
Look,
folks
he's
here. Oh no,
waving.
that's gonna block
you
Teddy.
just
I don't
put
like that.
Eli's comment in front of his
Hey,
face.
we're gonna switch. We're gonna switch to you and Corey. Sorry, Corey. Shout out to Li. I don't even know what Li is trying to do here. But
why we shout that out?
Shout out to Paul Kersey, also Dr. P. Love to see Dr. P in here. Got to give Beatty some more ABs. Swift goes, if Stroman doesn't go 140 innings this year, he's a free agent at the end of the season, right? And that is correct. He has the vesting option he has to hit. And then Percy Johnson, our guy Kev, Ben Rice is going too. So maybe we'll see Ben Rice on that list shortly. Joe, thanks for bringing on Teddy. We love seeing Teddy
problem.
here.
Yeah. We joke with the shadow realm. Well, what happened to you now, Rich? You're gone.
Rich is now in shadow realm.
Yeah, mess around with me again, Rich. Mess around again. See what happens.
Well, Rich is
me.
reconnecting all the slides. You can follow at ESB Podcast on X. You can also follow at ESB NYM and at ESB NYY, also on X. Those are our affiliates. We live tweet the games from there. I have our live reactions to both the Mets and Yankees. ESB NYY now hosts a daily space on X at 1 o'clock. At 1 o'clock, right, Rich? Every day.
Oh yes, sir. 1 o'clock, a Bronx take on X Monday through Friday. There's a rotation of 4 hosts. I'm the Monday, Friday host typically. Today we had a little bit of switch in the schedule, so I'm hosting tomorrow's show. Boogie, Sierra, and Chris as well do a great job. So make sure to give them a follow on X as well. At Boogie Dan NYY, at Chris Nieves 618, and at Sierra Not Missed on X. They're always tweeting about the Yankees. They're doing great work over at the Bronx Take space. It's been a lot of fun to listen and enjoy a lot of the conversations from those who have joined the Roundtable community. So make sure to check us out on a Bronx Take. And speaking of X, we'll be back for extra innings later on tonight after the show. So make sure to tune in like 5 minutes after we go off the air. We'll bring a space here on X at ESB Podcast. But we always finish things off with a game. And we're going to take a look at the standings once again. And I'm going to love looking at these standings because I'm tied in first place with Corey. This might be the last time I see that one next to my name. And of course, we'll talk about the one on the right side. I'm obviously going to be taking an emphatic lead after tonight. Joe, Tom tied with 0 each, but they have a chance, obviously, to come back. It's way too early. So we're going to get into it. Lineup card is tonight's game. Now, the special thing about lineup card, there are multiple points that could be attained. At max, you can gain 6 points today. I mean, it could be a crazy turn for somebody here. So we're going to start things off with Corey Favs' lineup. He's got from a former New York Mets game. So, Corey, let's take a look at what you got.
Yeah, we're going to go back to 2011. This was actually an opening day lineup. Was that 14 years ago now? So still in the, you see Jose Reyes there leading off and David Wright at third base. But we got 3 positions missing. And again, for those who are new, the goal here is to try to get 2 of the 3, get the player in the spot and or the position. You get 2 of those 3 and you get a point. 3 strikes, you're out.
All right, I'm going to go Jason Bay, left field, batting second.
No, 1K.
Okay. So Joe with first K.
Bay was on the
strike
team,
system as well.
Just not there yet. He was hurt.
Oh God, he's hurt. Frick. So we got some backup. Nobody playing.
It's possible. I wanted to do Brad Emus, but I was like, Joe would be the only one with a shot.
I couldn't even.
Number batting 9th, pitcher Johan Santana.
It is not Johan. Again, he was on the team, but he was not the opening.
I was going to say, yeah, he was my top 2, but he was also it's a little kind of late for Johan.
Number 9. Was this opening day?
This was opening day.
This is opening day. So I'm trying to think who got the start.
John Maine, pitcher.
Was not John Maine. So I think that's 1K across the board.
Okay.
Was it
Mike Pelfrey?
It was Mike Pelfrey.
Oh,
wow, Mike.
I was going to go Nice.
Nice was in that team as well.
I didn't think Nice had gotten this start then.
Okay,
Yep,
so
we
we
got
got left
Rich
fielder,
with one.
left and right fielder, right?
Is it Beltran 4 and right field?
That is correct. Sometimes they're easy.
Oh.
Sometimes
right.
I thought the Angel Pagan center might have threw it off. This was Beltran's first year playing right field. It was the first year he made the transition.
And so now,
so he had transitioned. I didn't know that he transitioned to corner while
Andy Chavez in left field.
Not Andy Chavez. Love him, but not Andy.
Let me.
I'm trying to think.
Not that it's helped me.
Jason Bay wasn't there. Who is? Oh, is it Daniel Murphy in left field?
Not good guess. Not Daniel Murphy.
He did play. Yeah, I forgot he did play out there.
That's what 2 Joe, 2 Tom, 1 Rich.
I know that. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to use my last one because I know he did play left field on occasion. Lucas Duda in left field.
Good guess. He was on the team, but not Duda.
Dancing around it.
We got 1 for Tom and 2 for Joe. Rich left.
Mike Baxter.
I love the guess, but not Mike Baxter. That's a name.
Damn.
That is a name. Baxter, I don't know if he was on that
That was
team.
a good guess, Rich.
He was definitely on the 2012 team. That was when Johan.
I don't know about hit.
It was the Johan no hitter. He made like the crazy.
Yeah, that was the next year.
That cost him his career.
Yeah. We got 1 guess left each.
No, I'm out.
Excuse me. Yeah, for Rich and Tom.
Yeah, me and Tom have the last.
Bobby Abreu in left field?
Too early, not Bobby Abreu.
Yeah.
Then you know what? I'm gonna go with an old guard. No, actually, I'm not. Let's go. Just for the sake of time, let's just go. Corey Sullivan.
Good guess, but not Corey Sullivan. That was like a year or 2 before that. It was Willie Harris was the left fielder. He was actually in a platoon with Scott Hairston, and they both platooned in left field until what's his face came back. So, they.
Okay. All right. So
we
got a point there for Joe and a point there for me. So I take the lead at 2.
More importantly, Tom's at 0.
Joe's at 1, Corey's at 1, and poor Tom.
Where I want to be. I want to work my way back up from the bottom.
But we do have a chance for Tom to play a little defense here because Tom now has the Yankee version of this question. So, Thomas, let's take a look at your lineup.
Let's look at the lineup. We went 15 years ago yesterday when I pulled this. I just went back. This was not opening day, but it's a Yankee Red Sox game early in the year. What could you ask for more? So let's see some guesses, guys.
Let's go Brett Gardner, left field. No, he might have been center. I'm going to go center field for Brett Gardner.
Incorrect.
No.
Incorrect on player, you're just not going to say? On everything.
He's wrong.
Everything. Okay.
Really?
Just plain wrong. See, I thought you were going to come out here with a little tribute for the Gardner family. I was like, man.
Well, now you make me feel like an asshole.
I thought Joe was on the right path there. I was like, damn, okay. At least he took the first guess, not I. Batting sixth and catching, Jorge Posada.
Yes, Jorge Posada is batting 6th and catching.
Is this
center field and left field?
I'm going to say
center field is 9.
Yeah, I'm going to say left field was this Melky Cabrera season.
Not the Milkman, no.
So this is left field and DH that we're missing then.
Oh, yes, you're right.
Left field and DH, correct.
I can't believe it's not Gardner. Left field.
This might be pre-guard. No, not pre-guard.
Wait, I got. Batting 2nd at DH, Nick Johnson.
Batting 2nd at DH is Nick Johnson. The return of Nick Johnson.
So we got the DH and the catcher missing the left field.
This is when they were like, oh, we're not going to sign Matsui and Johnny Damon because we're going to free out the DH. Yeah, for fucking Nick Johnson.
Is it the Grandy man in left?
He's batting 9, Joe.
Honestly,
he's literally batting 9. He's literally batting 9.
I'm giving you an X for that. That is
that's just negligence.
Rough. So Joe has 2 X's. Rich has 2 yeses, and Corey has 1 X.
Batting 8th Here it is.
Joe's
Batting
tired. Joe's understandably tired.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's rough. I got 2. Batting 8th left field, Randy Wynn.
No.
Oh,
Batting 8th in left field. Batting 8th left field, Andrew Jones.
No.
All right, so that's 2 Ks right there.
So Joe 2 Ks, Rich 2 Ks, Corey 1
Corey,
K.
nothing.
1 K.
I got 1K.
You
1K.
got
1K.
1K? Where'd you get the 1K? Okay.
I'm writing it down.
No, I'm writing. Yeah.
You guys got to
How
think.
Corey's 1K was.
I'm afraid.
I said Melky Cabrera was my K.
I'm
Those are
afraid
good-
to
those are good
speak.
All right. Left field, batting 8th, Marcus Timms.
Marcus Timms is batting
Oh,
8th.
I would never have gotten
Clean
Marcus Timms.
sweep.
Yeah,
I forgot he was even there.
I thought he was only a DH.
There we go.
I
Marcus
forgot
Timms.
about
Timms.
Marcus Timms.
See, it
Yeah.
was weird. And why this stuck out to me is because this is Tom, this is opening day.
This
after
is not
the
opening
Yankees.
day.
This is not opening. Is this opening week? Like, is this
I mean, it's April 6th, though. It's early in the season.
all right? Well, what are you gonna do? But I remember the Yankees playing Boston early into the season. This is following the 09 championship team. So a few of the players had transitioned out. They had questions in left field, so that's why I was just cycling all those players.
This was
but
it
Nick
was
Johnson
the second game of the season. This is the second.
That's the
game.
one. There you go. That's the one that stuck out to me because I was irate when the Yankees brought in Nick Johnson. They didn't bring back one of their World Series guys. So there you have it. So with that, I take a 4-point lead. So good luck, everybody else. That is it. That is lineup
I'm just waiting
card.
for Core. Waiting for
And,
Core, and that's
yeah,
where I
Core-
roll.
Core is gonna core curriculum changes games like that. Like
Oh, yeah.
standings will flip after one good core
I
curriculum.
thought Marcus
in the next-
Timms. I thought Marcus
couple of
Timms
weeks.
had me at least getting 1 point.
Marcus Timms is right there in the Chris Davis, like the random outfielder that you bring in.
Marcus Timms, man. Hey, listen, he was a hitting coach. He had a nice little tenure with the New York Yankees. Also, I think he was like the guy that the Yankees traded for to get Gary Sheffield. I might have that wrong, but I'll find out. Not the game.
First
That's
hit, it was like
that might be next week.
Randy Johnson. I know that.
We'll find out. As we mentioned, we're going to go live on X in a little bit at ESB Podcast. Make sure to give us a follow for our extra inning space. But make sure you're tuned in to next week because it is episode number 120 for Empire State of Baseball. That's Monday, April the 14th, 2025. And I'd say, listen, tune into every single episode of ESB because it's a lot of fun. But this one's going to be a fun one because we're gonna have a special guest. So our first at the plate in a long time. Now I could tell you who it is, but I think I'd rather show you. So let's pull up the work of this gentleman here and take a look what we have in store.
And I think that is going to the mound.
Well, I don't think so. There's nobody. I think that's the pitching coach. Nobody is.
Oh, there's no.
Well, we're being told that it's not working.
No.
He did a good
Not
job.
John
on the
Sterling.
lineup.
It's not John Sterling. I'll tell you
Or
that. It's
Susan.
not John Sterling. But we'll get that video up in a short moment. I don't know what happened there because it was just working fine before. So I don't know what's going on. All right, we'll try it again. Let's get this going, guys. Can we see?
There
that?
we go. Now we're good.
All right, let's try this again. Let's take a look at the work.
And I think that is Hyde going to the mound.
Well, I don't think so. There's nobody. I think that's the pitching coach. Nobody is.
Oh, there's no one warming up.
Warming up.
That's what I figured. Yeah, it is Chris Hope.
So it's another consultation, but we've already had the consultation. No.
They just hand me cards.
Okay.
They hand me a card and I read it.
Okay.
And this consultation on the mound being brought to you by the Barnes firm.
And that is Jacob Berger, who's really amounted a nice following on Instagram at jj.bergs on IG, where he essentially is just lip syncing some broadcaster calls from across all sports. You have baseball, hockey, whatever. He does a great job. He's a lot of fun to watch, and Jacob Berger will be our first at the plate guest for next week's edition of Empire State of Baseball. Corey Favs.
Yeah, he's been popping up on my feed a lot over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and he's got some funny ones too. I love seeing his impressions of all the different announcers. He does a good job with that.
Yes, so we're looking forward to having Jake on the show for next week's first at the plate. But that's it for tonight, so. And like always, let's do some last licks, take it around the room. And I guess I'll start off, throw to Tom, Joe, and Corey to wrap. Thank you guys all for joining another edition of ESB. We'll see you next week, and we'll see you in a few minutes on Extra Innings. Tom?
Yeah, thanks for joining. I'd like to have gotten a point today. Pretty pissed about that, but hey, next week.
No, thank you for joining. Mets are up 1-0 in the bottom of the 7th right now. Looking at keep the quality.
Yeah, I mean, let's go Mets. ERA getting tested. Will they be able to get another shutout to keep it low and get the win? We'll see. But thank you again, everyone, for listening. It was a fun show. Let's enjoy a nice week of baseball ahead. Until next time, take care.